time to get in the huddle with your host, Charles Brodge Ritchie, here on the Mad Steel Podcast.
This thing belongs to Mr. Rooney, belongs here, and let's see if we can bring this damn thing back here next year, along with the Super Bowl. Here we go.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
With the 10th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Devin Bush, linebacker,
And welcome back, everybody, to this edition here of the Mad Steel Podcast with me, Charles Project Ritchie, as it is Victory Monday as of right now, as the Steelers just picked up their first win of the season and did it in dominating fashion. Once again, for those of you who are just tuning in live, the Steelers blow out the Bengals. 27-3 is your final score, as the Pittsburgh Steelers now improve their all-time record over the Cincinnati Bengals in the head-to-head matchup, 63-35. And also, too, Mike Tomlin improves his Monday Night Football home record to 6-0, making them 14-2 overall. Again, once again, I am your host, Charles Project Ritchie, right there. Also want to give my main man credit, Brian Diardo of CBS Sports, for also knowing that, as I've been documenting that myself the past year. Thanks for putting that out there. You can follow him on Twitter at Brian Diardo. That's capital B, capital D, capital A. He is with CBS Sports, and he is still he's a national columnist for the NFL with CBSSports.com, and also still covers the Steelers from time to time. You catch him out through his Facebook live streams throughout the week. As we got a lot of stuff to get in here with this win right now. Apparently, obviously, right now, the Steelers now find themselves within a game, believe it or not, after it's all said and done, with them being 1-3, and also, thankfully, for the Browns beating the Ravens yesterday in Baltimore, which I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't really too surprised. I know it's still the Browns. A lot of people are still hesitating. And I get that, and understandably so with their history, but they do find themselves atop the AFC North division, beating the Ravens yesterday. They go 2-2. A lot of defensive miscues by the Ravens. I mean, apparently, but I mean, you got to give credit to where credit's due with Mayfield so far. That was a statement game they had to make. And for the second straight week in a row, we saw the Steelers, who were going into this game where they could have had some help going into a game where they could have won and take advantage, and apparently they didn't. The Ravens, who actually, by the way, they lost last week to the Kansas City Chiefs. If the Steelers could have beaten the San Francisco 49ers, they could have improved to 1-2 as opposed to being 1-3. But here's the good news so far. With that being said, because right now, the Ravens and the Bengals are the only ones with losses in the division, as both the Steelers and Browns are 1-0. So the Cleveland Browns, as of next week, if memory serves me correct, in week number 5 of the matchup, they, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, as I'm pulling up the scoreboard right now, that's going to be a next Monday night. They're going to travel to Santa Clara to take on the 49ers. They're going to travel West Coast. If the Steelers, first of all, take care of business at home this Sunday, which is going to be a 12 o'clock game, if they could find a way to somehow beat the Baltimore Ravens, and then also too have the Browns lose to the San Francisco 49ers. By the way, that Steelers-Ravens game, that's going to be on CBS at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if they could do that, guess what? They'll have a 2-0 record in the AFC North Division, and also too, they'll be in first place in the North after all that. The crazy start that a lot of people have been complaining about Mike Tomlin and his staff not making adjustments. And I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, when you see a lot of stuff like this, no pun intended, a lot of bleep start saying the fan, if you know what I mean, in cases like this. I mean, obviously, that's been one of the critical knocks against Tomlin and his staff, especially Keith Butler. But, I mean, you got to give Butler some credit. For 2 weeks in a row, his defense played solid D. I mean, granted, they lost last week, I want to say, by 4 points, 24-20. But, still, they were in command of that 49ers game. We dominate the turnover ratio. And the problem is you cannot take care of some golden opportunities to cash in on some touchdowns. We sell for 6 points in the first half. I think off of like 4 turnovers, I want to say. So that's the thing right there that was killer. This time they seized the opportunity. This time around. So let's go ahead and get into the game. Let's get into the key stats real quick here into this game. And mainly speaking, I'm going to start off right now with my game balls for tonight. I'm going to go on the offense. I'm going to give it to James Conner. Had 125 scrimmage yards total. For a guy who really needed to come out huge, he had 42 yards off of 10 carries, 4.2 yards per carry. And he went a perfect 8 of 8 in his reception. So he didn't miss any passes, had a touchdown. So that's a big reason right there, too, especially when you had like Jalen Samuels, who's also playing stellar in this game tonight. When you look at it, a lot of guys really showed up tonight and really made this a quick-paced offense and just a calm, cool, and collective effort overall. You had Deontay Johnson as your second leading receiver with 77 yards, a touchdown. 43 was his longest. And you had Jalen Samuels rushing for 57 yards. So, again, I'm going to go with James Conner. He gets the game ball on offense. Then on defense, I'm going to give it to a guy who's been taking a lot of slack this year. And a lot of people have been debating about this guy being the starter. Well, I'm going to have to give this to this guy tonight because he led the team in tackles. And not only that, he made a crucial interception that killed the Bengals drive when the Steelers were up by 21 points. That was earlier in the fourth quarter with a little over 11 minutes left to go. They could have cut that game into a 2-possession lead, more than likely, if the Bengals will continue marching. I'm talking about none other than inside linebacker Mark Barron, which, by the way, who I really think he showed up tonight, did a tremendous job. Like I said, he has definitely been feeling it from the fans, and a lot of people have been questioning. Look at it. He's also had a tackle for loss in this game when you look at it. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing you gotta look at it here as a matter of fact. So that's the biggest thing I'm gonna look at for right now. Okay, I just want to apologize to everybody for the distracted noise here all of a sudden at the last moment. But yeah, like I said, Mark Barron, who, by the way, he definitely showed out, in my opinion, who definitely came through in this game. He also had a tackle for loss in this contest. So I really feel like that was very key right there. He got in there. The Steelers as a unit produced 8 sacks overall for the night. Which was really incredible, too. And I was even saying, too, remember, if you guys recall, remember, like, what was my insights going into this game when we really looked at it? And when we look at it, one of the things that I stood out and said that they're going to have to do it, they're going to get this win, the most crucial elements, and there's still a lot to pick apart here, but third down efficiency, that could still be a lot better. They were 3 of 9. So I was wrong in that. But cash in on the red zone opportunities. Red zone opportunities, they went 1 for 2, so which is good. You scored 50% of your red zone opportunities right there. Then also, too, endurance on the defense. As you notice this time around, they came off to the fast start like they did last week against the 49ers. But guess what? They're able to maintain that composure throughout the rest of the game. And look at what happens right now. You get yourself in a very much-needed win. And like I said, you're off to 2-3 right now. Possibly could gain some more traction as the season goes on. But like I said, I will agree with Booger McFarland on this area. As long as you continue to build around Mason Rudolph, obviously he's not going to be the guy that's always going to be like the savior of this team. You can't put it all on him. But at the same time, too, you also got to realize, too, you need guys to step up right there. I love the play calling this time around by Randy Fichtner right there. A lot more creative right there. I mean, they're having like a lot of delayed screen passes to their running backs right there, especially James Conner and Samuels. I thought one of the beautiful highlights of the night, too, was I want to say it was either the second or third quarter where the Steelers were on the verge of scoring. I think it was at the 2 or 3 yard line. And it looked like Conner was going to get the ball, but instead it goes to James Conner. He goes up the middle for a touchdown in this game when you really look at it. And overall, I mean, Jalen Samuels, who got the only rushing touchdown out of the running backs. Benny Snell Jr., he's the only one who did not have much of a night. He didn't really have many opportunities. He only had 2 carries for 1 yard, half a yard average. So, I mean, he'll get some more opportunities as time goes on. I mean, definitely you could see where this is going to be at. But at the same time, too, I really do believe, like I said, it was more guys involved, a lot more people helping out. And that's what you really need from an offense like this right here. If you're going to really do some stuff and really make some noise, that's how you got to do it. That's how you got to start it off, in my opinion, is by those guys have a collective effort. Obviously, you're not going to – I mean, you can tell right now – I mean, I don't want to bring up an unfamiliar name, but guys like Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, obviously they moved on in bad terms from the Steelers. But at the same time, too, you are starting to see how challenging it can be to try and move on from replacing that production right there. And I think that's always going to be one of the knocks right here as the season continues to go along. So, again, if you want, feel free to get on the conversation. Number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, you can also follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richie. And you can also check me out on my Instagram stream, Men of Steel Nation. Feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Men of Steel Podcast, as we get ready to go along. I want to hear your thoughts on tonight's game. What do you really get excited to see going forward as we get ready to see the season move along right now? Finally get things back on track. But again, it is only one victory so far. We've seen what happened about a year ago at this time when the Steelers were 0-1-1, and they won their first game of the year against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then they laid an egg against the Ravens. So will history repeat thatself this time around? Will the Steelers be able to maintain this momentum and be able to carry it at home in Heinz Field against the Ravens? I mean, granted, the Ravens may not be the same defensively, intensely as they were once upon a time, and they made a transition to an offensive unit. But at the same time, too, this is going to be their first time experiencing Lamar Jackson at a full-time start right now. A lot of people still being skeptic of his start. I'm telling you right now, this guy who's been averaging, I think, around 287 yards per game, I mean, I think it's only going to get better for him. So we're going to see how that's going to pan out with them. That the Steelers will be able to, and I think endurance be one thing they'll have to be ready for the challenge for, to accept. But, man, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm anticipating that one right now. Defense is going to have to be really huge on that game coming up. Need to start off of the gate, have commanding. And I'd also like to hear from you guys right now. What do you feel like was your turning moment of this game real quick over here? And I also got Deborah Banks Walker right here. Teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you very much, Deborah. Glad to have you aboard here on the Men of Steel podcast. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was definitely an extraordinary job by everyone all around. I want to get a little bit more into the defense real quick here. I mean, which, by the way, who created 2 takeaways on defense. You had a pick by Mark Barron. Like I said, that's who my defensive game ball goes to. He gets one of the interceptions, like I said, in the fourth quarter, which really killed any chances or hopes that the Bengals had of possibly gain some respectability in this game, or trying to give them some possible hope of digging their way out of that 3-possession hole, which they didn't. I don't know about you guys, but is there such a term called a gentleman's shutout? I know we heard the term gentleman's sweep, but I'm going to be the first to call it. If it's not in the record book or Googleable or whatever, take it from me. I am going to take ownership of that term right now. You heard it first right here from Charles Bradge Ritchie. Tonight was a gentleman shutout, and where they only allowed 3 points. That's why I call this game tonight. And I'm really satisfied from what I've seen from all efforts overall here. I mean, especially the pass rush continue to make plays. And then also, too, let's look at some of the other guys who made some plays in this game. I mean, remember, you had Vince Williams, who was going into this game. He was out with the hamstring injury, one of your stars right there. But I got to tell you, one thing which I did like, I like the combination this time around with Devin Bush and Mark Barron working guard. You could see they were definitely being a dynamic duel. I mean, as Bush had the second most tackles, 9 tackles total overall, which were 7 were solo, 2 of them were assisted, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. Plus, you had your lead dog in the sack department, Cam Hayward, who had 2.5 plus a tackle for loss in this game. Mike Hilton even had another good game here. And then also, too, I mean, when you look at, too, TJ Watt, who also had a nice little fumble recovery earlier in the game, which I really felt was another key element right here. And I think that was in the second quarter, if I'm not mistaken. But when you watch this right here, man, it looked dandy. I mean, on defense overall, it really did. I mean, just good to see some of your stars right here to fire them up. I mean, you got, like I said, your defensive captain right here. At the same time, when you look at it, which, by the way, that was Cam Hayward, your defensive tackle right there, really helped setting the tone right there. But the Bengals, like I said, I agree with Booger McFarland. There was no sense of urgency in this contest. I mean, when you really look at it, I mean, at this point in time, and no doubt about it. And when you really see it too, I mean, for yourself, yeah. And no, definitely, Deborah. I definitely remember to mention Devin Bush and TJ. Thank you very much. We already just discussed that a moment ago. Thank you very much. Definitely love hearing your feedback. Again, if you want, feel free to dial in the phone number. The phone lines are open. Anytime you guys want to call in, this is the number to my show. It's 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. You can also tweet me at Prodigy Richie on Twitter. Check out my Instagram stream, Men of Steel Nation. Of course, my YouTube channel, Men of Steel Podcast. The phone lines are open anytime you guys want. Anytime you see me hanging up this podcast, I'd love to bring you on the air. This is for you, the vet, and for you, the fans, that have fun and support Steeler Nation in this season and try and salvage what is still doable as we continue to move along here throughout the season. And it's definitely, like I said, just glad not to see him go to an 0-4 hole. If they would have done that, it would have been the first time since 2013 they would have started the season 0-4. It's already been the first time since 2013 where they had to start off 0-3. But at that point in time, I mean, when you look back at that moment, they lost to the Vikings in London in that point in time. And remember who their first victory of the year was. It was on the road against a New York Jets team, which kind of helped finally see them pull them out of a slump right there. And you really got to see what that team was made of down the stretch. A lot of people were writing them off the books. I'm not going to lie to you. I tell you what, if they would have lost this game, I'm not going to say it would have been totally all lost, in my opinion. I still think there could have been some hope. Either way, when you look at it, I definitely feel like right now, when you think about it, it would have to depend on where they stacked up in the division. I mean, obviously, they would have been 2 games out. I mean, of course, no one wanted to see that. But when you really think about it here, I mean, that's the thing you got to look at right now. Now it's like that's the good thing about snapping out of this losing streak. You got another divisional opponent coming up. If you take care of business next week, again, when you take on the Ravens, and you have the Browns lose next Monday night, guess what? You can find yourselves at the king of the hill once again. We'll find out about that as we get ready to move further along here in this podcast right now. And let's get ready to close things out real quick here on as we wrap up here. Here's my closing thoughts. I want to just play due humble respect to the Steelers Hall of Honor and inductees for this year in 2019, which was really sweet. I had the honor of listening to some of it on Steeler Nation Radio, some of the interviews and stuff. I mean, of course, the nominees we already talked about earlier this summer. You had a former four-time Super Bowl champion, tackle and tight end Larry Brown, who got in there. He was a Pro Bowler. And you also had Bill Cowher, who was not only a Super Bowl champion, but he was also Coach of the Year back in, I think, his rookie year in 1992. The first year he took over a year after Chuck Noll, the Steelers, parted ways, who took him to 2 Super Bowls, 1-1. You also had tight end L.B. Nichol, the late L.B. Nichol, which, by the way, has passed away. His family member accepted on his behalf. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler. And last but not least, Hines Ward, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, 4-time Pro Bowler in his career, an approximate value of 118 right there. Just want to talk about what those guys meant. And I tell you what, though, when you really look at it, I mean, when you really think of Steeler football and everything, I mean, does it not surprise you that when you see a lot of these legends get honored here, it almost seems like there seems to be like a unique fire lit under this team where they really want to do something special for a lot of people who don the uniform of the black and gold. And I definitely feel that for some reason. I just feel like right now, when you really think about it overall, I mean, obviously it's a lot of pride. I mean, these guys will always play for, and a lot of respect. And just to show you, it's still Steelers football. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, when starting off this 0-3 start, we're probably thinking it's probably be a losing season for Mike Tomlin for the first time in his career. I'm going to just slam on the brakes for that for right now. Let's just wait and see. I mean, of course, you see what obviously happens. I mean, obviously this year is going to be a defensive first run team. I mean, as you can tell, starting off in the game, very wise move to defer and not receive the opening kickoff. As you see right there, if you just do stuff like that and you keep yourselves in there and you start off right out of the gate, you never know what can happen right here. And look at what they did, and look at where they are. That's the way I look at it. So I feel for right now, you have to, like I said, just remember what it's all about. What Steelers football represents. It's pride. It's smash mouth physical football still. I mean, obviously the game has changed a lot over the years, but at the same time, it's still about playing with pride, playing with that intensity, and just showing fans that you really care and you're ready to go out and lay it all on the line. I mean, for your fans right there, and play 60 minutes of football. And another thing, I was just glad to finally see him control. I mean, when you get like these, I mean, the third down conversions need to improve. That's going to continue to be a problem. But the thing is, for the Steelers right here, I mean, you would think they would have more time possession. They once again lose that battle to them, but they get the W at the same time. 3-possession victory at the same time. It's prime time. It's Monday night. And you can tell with Mike Tomlin, 14-2 on Monday Night Football overall. And that's the bottom line right there. When you look at it, I mean, Mike Tomlin, who obviously, by the way, when you look at his overall career here, I mean, when it comes to primetime games under the lights, he was 37-17 all time in prime time. I mean, he's 19-5 at home where it's Monday, Sunday night, or Thursday night football. 18-12 on the road. And you know what? That's one good thing about being in prime time and under the lights is some home cooking to couple that in on this pair right here. And that's how you do it. That's how you get yourself back on track. And we'll see how it continues to go further over here. I mean, I'm definitely just going to settle down for right now. Definitely got a lot more ways to go as we continue to try and move forward at this point in time as the Steelers try and find their identity as we look at it. But yeah, I think one other thing too. Let's get back to the Hall of Honor I was speaking about. And Bill Cowher, who was actually speaking with Dale Lally and Stan Severn yesterday on Steel Nation Radio, he was saying going into this game, this was yesterday, and I want to say it was between like 5:30 and 7:30. I think it was like a 2-hour interview with the guys from the Hall of Honor inductees for the Steelers. His advice to the Steelers was win one game, right? Win one game at this point, you have to look at as short-term focus, and that's winning this game. And after this game, it's like we win one more. That's all you have to do. You start your season, look at that mountain, and your head's up. But right now, you put your head down and just trudge along as one step at a time. If you put your head up and start looking ahead, you'll see all these other elements that will deter you and alter your mindset. I think right now, all the channeling of what they have has to be put on just win one game. Win one game. And you know what? That's the guy who could have said it best. I mean, this is the guy right here. I mean, a lot of people, it's been speculation over the years. I mean, why he wasn't able to stay on long right here. I mean, with the organization. I mean, if people recall, look back, I mean, if you watch through the Football Life or look up or Google a lot of times when Bill Cowher was last with the Steelers, remember him and his wife at the time, I want to say it was Kay, I'm not sure, who, by the way, who when back at that point in time, who passed away, it was Kay Cowher, yes it was, who passed away in 2010. Remember around 2006, I think they just got themselves a home in Carolina, and they were like planning on moving. So a lot of it was about his family. I remember this is from a guy who felt like he was trapped in the football environment. It got a little uncomfortable at times. He loved the game planning, loved being around the guys, but at the same time, just the lifestyle. He felt like in some ways he was entrapped and a little bit engulfed at times. He wanted to have that freedom, the flexibility. He wanted to be there for his people. And of course, when you look at it, yeah, it was definitely one of the things right there he missed, but he's found that. Remember, he's later on, who, by the way, who remarried back in 2014. I mean, it was good to see like what he did at the same time, and yeah, it was right now, who, by the way, at this point in time, it was just a true happiness right there. Who he married Veronica back in 2014. You saw like the normalcy he's finally finding, the closeness he has had with his people. Then also too, you also look on the Metal Steel podcast here as we get ready to wrap up. He's also still said he was okay with the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade. I mean, number one, that's going to address a position that they're going to need in the draft anyway. He's seen the 11th pick already on display last year, and he can play at this level. And a year later, and look where he's at. I mean, if we look at tonight's game, as far as like what Minkah Fitzpatrick was able to do, I mean, this game, he had 4 tackles, 2 solo. I mean, of course, he didn't get a chance to make like any like picks or anything, but I mean, he's still a valued commodity for this team right now. And like I said, he's gonna be 23 years old. I want to say on November 4th. I mean, you get a guy right here who could probably a potential be an all-pro for a lot of years. I got Ham Skills saying right here, we got to draw more plays than the field down the fields. Yeah, I definitely with you on that. But as long as you're building it in a nice, confident groove like what you saw tonight, if you get some like quick guys, but at the same time, it really is incumbent how guys like James Conner and Jalen Samuels, your back outside receivers, could utilize their speed right there. And I think one of the things that you notice about the Steelers offense, they're using some gadget plays every once in a while. I think it's kind of helping opening things up in certain areas, and you see why. And then last but not least, with Bill Cowher, he was saying it was going to be tough anyway. 2 years ago, I mean, you had three of the best players at their positions on offense: Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and Ben. It's just amazing. In a short period of time, they've all been taken away. Wow, they're in transition mode. They're trying to find their identity, particularly with Mason Rudolph in that offense. I think the line is fine. Now you have to adjust to how you think about calling the game, how you institute a game plan, who's healthy. Do I have a tight end to run the ball? Maybe I get out of the shotgun, get back to shortening these games, rely on my defense to make plays. Your whole identity might change. That's how it is in the NFL. You adapt and adjust, and he could have said it best. And once again, congratulations to those men. Once again, to Larry Brown, former four-time Super Bowl champion, head coach Bill Cowher, two-time Super Bowl champion, along with Hines Ward, who's also two-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP. And, of course, the late, great LB Nickel, all those guys. So as we get ready to part here on this edition of the Men of Steel podcast, as I always leave you in my closing thoughts, don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.